Hello drummers, how's it going? I hope you're all keeping well this week. So what I've got here is a big stack of books, and there's one thing that they all have in common is the fact that they are drum books, and each one of these is dedicated to a specific area in drumming. And you should have a load of these books because it's your duty as a drummer or as a student to pick out these different books up and to look at them, find the areas that you're lacking or you want to improve in, and find as much material on it as you possibly can, because there's going to be loads of books written about one particular topic, but not every book is going to suit you. Let's start off with a jazz book. This is one of the best jazz books I think out there. I've gone through a few of them. It's The Art of Bop Drumming from John Riley, and it goes through everything that you need to know about jazz. Everything from the names, and you don't have to be really good at jazz to start with this book. It will help you from day one, and it will help you if you're advanced. That's what's great about this book. So you'll learn all the basic stuff, everything to do with the different areas of jazz drumming, and again, things like setting goals and some practice tips and all that kind of stuff, going as far as comping, and then exercises to help you with the comping and examples. And then it goes through a lot of what I found really cool was some of the jazz jargon. So it will help you with all that stuff. What the pros use, or what they talk about when you're in a jazz ensemble. So it really is helpful. And then this is what I love about it most, is that it's got a load of brush patterns. So that's really more important. If you're looking to get into the jazz, or you want to find one book that kind of ticks all the boxes, The Art of Bop Drumming by John Riley is really, really good. Now here's one I'm going to throw in. I tried, Lord help me, I tried to be a Latin player and it just didn't work out for me. But if you're into that kind of stuff, Phil Maturano is really, really good at it. He's got Latin soloing for the drum set. So if you're into that kind of stuff, this is well worth a look. I just wanted to bring it in there because he goes through all the Latin patterns, and there's a lot of information on each one about where that pattern comes from and how to play it with the right feel and all that kind of stuff. Also, there's the part 2 of the book, which he has his own the RTS system, which is the relay time shifting. It's quite intense, so you're gonna have to look at it yourself. But if you're looking for even if you're just looking for a lot of Latin patterns and how to bring Latin soloing in, this book is well worth a look. The one thing is, it's quite hard, but most Latin music is quite hard. Well, I found it very difficult. But Phil Maturano, Latin soloing for drum set, well worth a look. So this one is, I think, the best drum book that's available on the market. It's called Time Functioning Patterns. You probably know it. Gary Chaffee. If you've done any kind of drumming education, you've probably heard of this book, if not gone through the whole thing. This is one of the books that I've pretty much gone from cover to cover, nearly. So Gary Chaffee is an unbelievable drum educator. He's written a good few books, sticking patterns, technique patterns, and then time functioning patterns, which is this one, as well as made a couple of videos and things like that. This one is absolutely excellent. So it starts with the fat backs. If you don't know what the fat backs are, you have to go and research them now and learn them. So you're basically, with this kind of system that he's put in here, you end up being able to play any kind of a beat. He basically breaks the 16 note pattern down, and then divides that up until you've pretty much covered every single area that you possibly could, playing the 16 note pattern through kick while you're playing a groove. So it's unreal. Then he goes through different combinations and all that stuff. Then you use that fat backs as your ostinato, your starting point, and then you add in all these other exercises. So it's just a wealth of information. You can go through all this kind of stuff. And then the section 2 mainly focuses on jazz independence. So, I mean, there's some jazz in there, but like just how independent you can be, taking an ostinato like a jazz ride line, and then adding in these exercises, for instance, that he has on the hi-hat. It's unreal. So that you can go through all that, and then at the end, I did a couple of lessons on this. These are the linear phrases that you can use as fills, and it's just, again, you could go on forever using this kind of stuff. It's brilliant. It's an excellent book. Whatever you pay for it, it's worth a hell of a lot more. They don't charge enough for this book. It's excellent book. So sight reading is something I've always struggled with, never been really good at it. I can teach it, but if you were to put a piece of sight reading in front of me, and for me to go in there cold read it, that means never seen it before, I would fail miserably at it. It's just not my forte. But when I was in London and I was in college, in the drum college, this book was given, the sight reading teacher told me to get this book, which is the Ultimate Drumset Reading Anthology by Steve Houghton. It's just an excellent book. If you want to get into sight reading, you want to progress down that line, this is a must to get. So what's great about this is it covers pretty much every area of sight reading. So everything from big band to small group, Broadway, live shows, cruise ships, studio work, and dancing jobs. And what's really cool is that in each one of those sections in the book, he'll show you what sight reading looks like in those areas, because not every time you get a piece of sight reading is it going to be written out correctly or with perfect notes by a computer. Sometimes it'll be handwritten out. Sometimes it'll be written with a marker. Sometimes it'll be written with a pencil. Sometimes it'll be written like the real book if you're playing jazz. So it looks completely different every time. That's one of the things that kind of throws me about taking on sight reading gigs. I very rarely do it because it's just I find it very difficult. So you'll see that in big band, it's written a certain way, but then when you get to small groups, I love this, it's written like as if it would be with a pencil and a sheet of paper being ripped. And you can see here, it's totally different again when you move on through, to see what it's like when it's on the cruise ships, and you see, again, just a complete different look that it has. It's crazy. It's a great book. If you're into sight reading, definitely pick it up. It's a class book. So the Ultimate Drumset Reading Anthology, excellent. So this book was written back in 1935. It's stick control. It's for the snare drummer, and it's one of the hardest books that I've ever played. It's real old school, and all you have is you just have various sticking patterns, and the idea is to play every exercise 20 times but perfectly with a metronome at different tempos. And it's really, if you do it correctly, it's very difficult, very difficult, but it's so beneficial. And you'll go through literally every sticking that you could ever think of. And of course it gets a little bit more complicated as the book goes on to stuff in 6/8 and short rolls and flams and things like that. But an absolutely excellent book made back in 1935. Stick control. I mean, look at the back. It's so old school. An excellent book. Real good book. Sticking with just the snare drum stuff again, Syncopation for the Modern Drummer by Ted Reed is a really good book. I haven't gone through a huge amount of this book, but I've taken a good few exercises from it and a lot of learning from it. Again, I got this back 2009 when I was in college, and it starts off just pretty much hitting everything that you could think of in terms of playing on a snare drum, with different subdivisions and different note patterns and things like that. But when you get to the second part of the book, that's where he brings in syncopation. So you can see what they've done here is written A, B, C, and there's one way of writing it, which can be a little bit more complicated with the rest. Another way with the tie, which is a little bit more complicated. And then here is the syncopation way, and it's a little bit less complicated, especially when you get used to it. So it's a different way of looking at sight reading. What's really cool about it is it really helps your creativity. It's an excellent book. €10, 10 bucks. It's well worth it. Pick it up. And of course, you're going to be able to get these all on PDFs for your iPad or your tablet. I'm going to finish up with one that I'm just using right now, which is Dr. Throwdown's Rudimental Remedies. It's a great book. I'm using it just to practice a lot more of the snare drum stuff that I do on the side. So a lot of marching band stuff. And what's great about this is, first of all, John Wooton's unbelievably good educator. He's a master at the snare drum stuff, and so everything that's in this is really beneficial for anybody to read and to learn. And there's play-alongs. I think 7 different tempos for each exercise. So generally you'll have like lesson 16, for instance, and there'll be a theme for that lesson, and you'll have maybe 5 or 6 different exercises with play-alongs, and then you'll have the final finished tune with a bit of everything that you learned in the exercise. It's to play in the final song, we'll say. It's an excellent book, well worth picking up if you're into the marching band stuff. So guys, that's all the books that I have there. I think they're really beneficial. If there's some that that you use that I didn't mention, please let me know down in the comment section. But definitely do as much learning as you possibly can, because it's your duty. It's how you're going to get better. And of course, all of these should be available as PDFs for your iPad and your tablet and stuff like that. So guys, that's my recommendations. A couple of books there. I'll leave them all down in the description. Hit me a comment. Let me know what you think. Give me one of these, and I'll see you next week. Take it easy. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Guys, hit me up on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and if you like what you've seen here today, you can see a lot more videos. Just click on any of them here on the screen.